Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning. Today is February 19th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings with our distribution partners to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories. We typically record these Zoom webinars so you can listen to them, view them after the fact on our YouTube channel, and I'll make sure you have that here when we wrap up today. Today, we're going to talk about a topic called flipping. And I suspect that many of you have heard about flipping, but most likely your reference is flipping real estate. And that's fine. We're not competing against that. But we're going to introduce and explain what we call the Darris model. Darris Johnson is one of our distribution partners, and he has mastered the flipping of other assets. And we're going to talk about that and how that can be relevant to you and your clients. So let's start with, the agenda. I'm going to answer questions. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, type that into Q&A. We'll get to those. And then ultimately, we want to go implement what we've learned. Before I get started, ultimately, what we would ask you to consider as a reseller is be average. Just try to be average. You don't have to be an all-star like Zahn or like Samuel or like Russell. Just be average. The average reseller is helping one client a day. Not a big deal. It's a side gig for them. The average reseller is making $5,000 a day up front, and then, of course, much more from the capital raise of each client. So the average reseller is making $2,500 a day. I'm sorry, $5,000 a day, $25,000 a week. All right, so let's get into flipping. So most of us have heard about flipping in real estate, and in brief, what it means is we go out and we buy a piece of real estate. Maybe we have to rehab it, maybe we don't. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're turning around and selling it for a profit quickly. So we're flipping it. We're not holding it for a long period of time. So there's a lot of people that make a lot of money in real estate flipping. But our point today is I don't want you to think that real estate is the only type of asset that you can flip. Like last year, we bought this car as one of our company cars. I can move this over. Nothing tremendous, just a nice car that we bought from a local dealership. So could we flip this Lamborghini Huracan and make a profit? Sure, because we got it for a great price. So there's other assets that we can flip other than just real estate. So with that being said, I want to introduce you to a concept that's called being a debt buyer. So a debt buyer is a person or a company that purchases delinquent or charged off debt at a fraction of the debt's face value, and then they either collect it or resell it, similar to with real estate. Well, if you're familiar with our QuickCash portfolios, that's exactly what it is, right? So QuickCash is a portfolio of $10,000 of delinquent or charged off debt. Now, sometimes people will make false assumptions. So if a debt is delinquent or charged off, does that mean that it's meaningless, it's worthless? No, it's still collectible. Therefore, since it's not a current debt, it is delinquent or charged off, we can typically get it at a fraction of the value. So otherwise, let's say that QuickCash was actively let's say you have a mortgage, right? You ever had a mortgage on the house and they sold it to a new company where you're paying your mortgage. So they sold the mortgage from company A to company B, and it is now you're paying a new company. They paid for it. They bought your debt in the background, and they typically pay almost 100% of the value of it because it's a performing debt. Well, it's hard to flip those because you're paying almost full face value. What we're talking about here is using QuickCash, where we're essentially getting it for free. So let's describe that, and we'll learn more about the Darris Johnson model. So if you're familiar with QuickCash, and if not, I encourage you to get familiar with it because it's a great tool. It's a great resource for many of your clients. The QuickCash program, we don't even sell the assets. Through the grant, we're literally giving away the assets. So let's go back and draw an analogy. Let's say that you could go to your county um, property tax collector and they have acquired houses that defaulted on their property taxes. And instead of auctioning them off at a sale, which is the way they normally do, what if they just literally just gave them away? They just gave the properties away. Now you'd have to pay for the paperwork, the title transfer fee, of course, but you got the property for zero. Well, that's literally what Darris has figured out that we're doing with QuickCash is we do not charge anything because of the grant for the assets. So the QuickCash program is giving away portfolios of $10,000 at a time, and we don't charge for it. So if we could go flip something, an asset that we get for free, that would give us almost an exponentially high return, right? Because real estate, you normally have to buy and then you got to mark it up and sell it. Here, you're getting the assets for free. So let's look at the Darris model. And Darris sometimes joins us, but he is not on this morning. I apologize for that. Okay, so what do we know? So if someone wants QuickCash, they get the assets for free. Now they're paying for the liquidation, I know, but the assets itself are coming for free. Darris sets the sales price for QuickCash at 25% of the face value. So what did we say? QuickCash comes in portfolios of 10,000. Therefore, if he's selling it for 25% of that, he's selling it for how much? 2,500. And he's not just doing this once in a while, he's doing on average 10 of these a week. So we'll talk about where do you find the buyers in that in a moment, but let's pause with the concept. We have 336 on this morning. Welcome everyone. What questions do you have thus far about the topic of flipping? You buy an asset at a discount, or in this case for free, and then you sell it in a short amount of time for a profit. Anyone have questions on that? Okay. So I think it inherently makes sense. It's just, I don't know that we made it clear enough to all of you that you can flip QuickCash. You might not have known that. Now, the question might be, well, that sounds great. So I can get a bunch of QuickCash for free. All I have to do is pay the liquidation fee, but I can get a bunch of QuickCash for free. I can make 2,500 per portfolio. I can be like Darris, just be average and sell around 10 a week. But who's the buyers? Where do I find the people that's going to buy this, right? Because if you have the asset and you have the buyer, your problem is solved, right? You have a running faucet of money. Well, do you have any ideas before I tell you what Darris does? Where do you think you would find the buyers for these assets? What are your ideas of where you think you would find them? So Christopher, Claude, Corinthian, we're up to 339 of you now. Dominique, where do you think you would find buyers for QuickCash? If you were to just want to replicate what Darris is doing, you don't want to do anything better, don't want to do anything worse. You just want to get QuickCash for free, get these assets, sell them for 2,500, do around 10 a week. Where would you find the buyers? What are your ideas? Mr. Certain, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Tufo, where do you think you would find them? Because if you don't know the answer, that makes this conversation even more important, because that means I've not done a good job of educating you of why QuickCash is important. Okay, well, let's pull back the curtain so you understand. So who buys QuickCash from Darris? Small business owners. Because what do you know? If you want to get a loan to start or grow a business, Traditional business lenders want what? They want to see collateral. They want to see collateral. Now, I don't know how your morning routines are. I know I come into the office, I put on Bloomberg. I have a big screen TV on the wall. So literally, no BS, just literally right before the Zoom, they were talking about this concept of collateral. Lenders want borrowers to have collateral. And if you don't feel that that's good or appropriate or right, then you're just wrong, because lenders want protection in case the borrower doesn't repay for normal business loans. It's just a matter of fact. Well, what happens? There's a whole lot of small business owners that want funding, but they have what's called a collateral shortfall. They don't have enough assets on their balance sheet to qualify. Therefore, what does Darris do? He transfers the QuickCash to them so they can add the assets to their balance sheet to qualify for a loan. It's legal, it's ethical, and it's crazy profitable for Darris. Now, I'm willing to dig in as deep. If that doesn't make sense to you, let me know and we can dig into it more. But it literally, what he's doing is he's helping the borrowers be worth more than the loan to get the loan approval, because that's how lenders look. Even if you have a good credit score, the primary thing that most lenders are worried about is what's the collateral? What are you putting up so in case that the loan's not repaid, that they can recover to mitigate their risk? We're providing that in the form of assets, accounts receivables. All right, so here's where you get QuickCash on our website, how to become a reseller, how to reach Madison, how to get past trainings. But let's dig into this. Who has questions on this concept? So going back, what is it we do? What is it that we resellers do? We help small business owners qualify for funding. And then secondly, we help small business owners get funding. These are two very different steps. And if you don't think so, again, you're mistaken, respectfully. So step number one, let's put a number in front of it instead of a dash. So step number one, you and I can do this either through the Shelf Corps or through the Business Accelerator, as we rolled out this week. And once the client has a fundable business, then we go get funding. Where there's a real break in financial literacy, a lot of small business owners, they don't know this, they don't understand this, they want to ignore this, they just want number two. But it doesn't work that way. You have to qualify. So what does it take to qualify? Well, one of the most important aspects is collateral. So let's go through specifically how Darris does this so you can see it. So Darris is a reseller like me, like you. So Darris is out educating small businesses and saying, hey, you can qualify for a $100,000 business loan with funding as little as 10 days. Now you can get a fundable Shelf Corp with no out-of-pocket costs that's ready for funding. All Shelf Corps are guaranteed minimum 100. What he says is right here on the landing page. All of you should have a landing page that looks just like this. He's reading what is right here. So it's not rocket science. So then the clients enroll, and then we provide them a Shelf Corp, which is what we promised. And with the Shelf Corp, we provide $100,000 of receivables for free. It's included. So if they want just a $100,000 loan, check the box, we're great. But guess what happens? Some clients want more than 100,000. Okay, fine. So we're going to give them 100,000 of collateral. Then we're going to need to look at what they bring to the table. Now, these are adults, right? These are people that have hopefully been building their net worth throughout their lifetime. So it's not just us giving them collateral. They also are contributing whatever collateral they can. But I'll tell you, and you might be surprised, but a lot of these folks, they want more money than what they qualify for from a collateral perspective. In other words, they have a collateral shortfall. So for Darris, for his clients, again, Darris just tries to be average. He's not trying to be an all-star like Ernest or Floyd or Franz. He's just trying to be average. So Darris enrolls an average of one client a day into the Shelf Court program. No upfront cost, great value proposition. He evaluates their collateral, determines that they often, almost always, have a collateral shortfall. So then he's turning around and resolving their problem with the QuickCash program. So hopefully that helps connect the dots. One more time from the top. You can make money by flipping. As Daryl said, you can make a whole lot of money. And so flipping is common in real estate, but we can also flip other types of assets. What we've covered today is how to flip essentially debt portfolios. Real debt, really collectible, really valuable, but they're usually sold at a fraction of the value. We give them away free because of the grant. So you can get QuickCash like Darris does for free, and then you can turn around and sell that for a profit. You can flip it. So with that, who has questions, comments, concerns? It's pretty straightforward, and I don't know that it's earth-shattering, but I just want to make sure that everyone's clear. Okay, so Ben's got a question. Ben is doing the math in his head. So yes, collateral is important. And I'm not harping on Ben, just in general. A lot of people don't know what you and I know. So they think it's a fucking game, right? Okay, I'll just ask for $1 million loan and I'll just get it. No, you have to qualify for it, and that's what we do. But the Shelf Corp and the accelerator is set up to go get 100,000. That's the guarantee in writing. So there's no risk. They're going to get at least 100,000. But what if they want more? Well, then they're going to need more collateral than what we give them. And so then you can provide them that extra collateral. So Ben's question is, well, wait, if they want $1 million, he's asking how much will that extra collateral cost? I don't know, Ben. You're setting the price. You're the one setting the price. We're giving it away. So if you're going to flip it, Ben, you've got to look in the mirror and answer that question, because we're giving the QuickCash to you. So how much do you want to charge? If you want to use the Darris model, he charges 25% of the face value, but you can charge more or less. Christopher asked about an editable contract for the QuickCash program. Well, actually, it's pretty simple, but what you would want to do is buy a portfolio of QuickCash. So now you have inventory to sell, if you will. And then once you've done that, then yes, we can provide you the reseller packet. So then you can turn around and resell it. But if you don't have QuickCash yourself, it's kind of irrelevant because you have nothing to sell. All right, let's see. Leonard says, how can we transfer the accounts receivables to cash? Okay, well, great. So let's go back. How do we convert real estate to cash? Well, we could sell it, couldn't we? How can we go about converting QuickCash to cash? We have two options. We can either, and it's actually stated right here, Leonard, we have two choices. We can either collect it or resell it. Those are the two ways. Collect it or resell it. All right, going back to Ben. So Ben, did that make sense? You're right. Ben's understanding the concept of collateral. Maybe you don't like it, but that's the way that business lending, well, most lending works. Most lenders want to, especially for larger amounts, they want to see that the borrower has collateral. We're going to provide 100,000. So if that's all they want, great, we've got it covered. If they don't, if they want more than 100,000 and they don't have it, then you or we can resolve that shortfall, that collateral shortfall. And if you want to be in that role, you don't have to be. You might say, oh, this is too complicated. Well, or it's not worth your time. Because I realize I talk to some of you and I'm humbled. You know, the number of you that when I throw out there, hey, I can show you how to make an extra 25,000 a week, I'd say half of you almost flip me the bird. It's like it's not worth your time. So I respect that I'm working with a bunch of high net worth, high income individuals. But for the average person to make an extra $25,000 a week, that's a big deal. Maybe in your world at the country club driving your Bentley, it's not. But to the average person, an extra 25,000 a week is a big deal. And so remember what Darris is doing. He's average as a reseller. So he's enrolling an average of one client a day, which that's generating him the 5,000 a day. This is on top of it. This is the icing on the cake where he's helping those clients resolve their next problem. Their first problem is they don't have a fundable business. Let's highlight this. The first problem he solves, they don't have a fundable business. So he gets them into a shelf corp. Then he asks, well, how much money do you want? Most of them want more than 100,000. If so, then he looks at their balance sheet or personal financial statement. If they don't have enough collateral, then he sells them QuickCash. It's really quite simple. All right, so Maria is asking, can you sell more than one QuickCash portfolio to one client? Sure, sure. And frankly, Darris often does. Because what I told you is true. He's selling on average 10 a week, but he's not really selling to 10 different clients. He's often selling more than one portfolio to one or more clients. So yes, Maria, you can get the QuickCash from us, and then you can turn around and determine what you want your price to be. And you could sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number you want to your clients at whatever price you want. Samuel asked, can they finance it? Sure, sure. I mean, it's up to you. You're determining the price. So maybe you want to transfer it to them with zero down and they pay you after funding. Or I mean, it's up to you. It's your asset. Once we transfer, once you buy that real estate back up here, then it's up to you what you want to do with it. Once we transfer the QuickCash to you, it's up to you. You can hold it, you can liquidate it, you can resell it. And if you want to resell it, all of that profit's yours. You're not sharing it with us. So you could charge them 25% or 5%. You could charge them 50%. I'm just explaining what's average. And that's, again, what I'm encouraging you to do is be average. Be average and enroll one client a day in a shelf corp or the business accelerator. Be average and earn 5,000 a day from that. It's simple. All right, Walt asked a good question. How do you transfer the QuickCash portfolio? It's a bill of sale. So it's really not that different than transferring any other asset. It needs to be documented. There needs to be a chain of ownership. And so we'll provide you the paperwork for it, which was a question that someone asked earlier. I forgot now who asked it, but it might have been Michael. But regardless, how do you transfer? So let's use an example. So let's talk about the transfer process. So first, Darris buys a QuickCash portfolio. How much do we charge for the assets? Zero. He's just paying the liquidation fee. So he's getting the assets for zero. Can't beat zero, right? So then when he does that, he's getting all the paperwork, including a bill of sale. So then if Darris wants to turn around, Darris sells a QuickCash portfolio to Maria for whatever he wants to sell it for. There's going to be a bill of sale that demonstrates the transfer of ownership. No different than, very similar to a car or real estate or anything of asset of value. There's typically documentation. All right. Liquidation fee. So a couple of you asked about the liquidation fee. So we're licensed, bonded, and insured to liquidate. So let's add that over here. Let's go put some more notes on. So let's talk about liquidation. Now, if what you're going to do is just resell it, then you're not really liquidating. Liquidating means collecting the debt, right? So there's a real debtor, someone that owes the money to the creditor, the person that owns the asset. And so we are licensed, insured, and bonded to perform this service, because you can't just buy debt and then start chasing after the debtors to pay. You need to typically outsource that to someone or an organization that's licensed, insured, and bonded. We are. So with that, then there's obviously a cost to liquidate, because there is, right? We're going to have to incur labor cost. We're going to have cost of reporting on their credit bureau, the debtors' credit bureaus. We're going to have cost of filing the lawsuits. There's cost to liquidate. But the nice thing is we shift that cost to the debtor. So what happens is when we're collecting the money, because we're licensed, insured, and bonded to collect the money from the QuickCash portfolio, those assets, the underlying receivables, we actually shift that cost to liquidate. So we collect a liquidation fee, because I think the question, $4.99 to liquidate. So that's paid initially by the buyer, but then reimbursed from the debtor. So we add that to the cost that the debtor owes. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so Zahn's got a great point, and I didn't make that clear. So let's go back to the Darris example. So Darris buys a QuickCash portfolio from us. How much do we charge for the assets? $0. So he's got his base, his expense to get the asset is literally zero. Again, if you could go buy rental real estate or real estate in general for zero, would you do it? Hell yeah, you do it. You do it all day long because you know you could go flip it. Well, I'm showing you how to flip QuickCash. So then if Darris then sells it to Maria, John's question is, can we still perform the service? Sure, because we're still licensed, bonded, and insured. So nothing changed with us. So then we're essentially providing this set of services for Maria now, because Maria is the new owner of the portfolio, where Darris was the original owner. So that's a great point, Zahn. It doesn't matter that the ownership changed. Now, who's going to get the payout from the liquidation? It needs to go to the actual owner of the asset. But yes, that's fine. So we still provide that service. All right. Leonard asked about financing. So yes, people can finance the liquidation costs. We're selling the receivables for zero, so they would never need to finance zero, right? You don't need to finance zero. But when Darris resells the portfolio to Maria, he's not reselling it for zero, right? He's reselling it for 2,500. And that's what I mentioned earlier, is that he can charge her up front, he can defer it, he can charge her more, he can charge her less, he can set up payments. That's literally up to you. When you're reselling the portfolio, that's why I put the question mark here. You literally determine what the price is and when you want to sell it. All right, so I don't want to distract any of you. I just want you to see the bigger picture. Most of you now have figured out how to succeed as a reseller. We've had enough of these morning trainings that most of you get it now. Most of you now are average. You're reselling one deal a day on average, getting one Shelf Corp client or now Business Accelerator in a day, generating 5,000 a day, 25,000 a week. So good. So I feel like we've made it over that hump. We figured out how to help you all make that 25,000 a week. Now we're peeling the onion back another layer to say, did you know that you can literally double your income money, your income stream, by doing what Darris does, which is flipping? Now, do you have to do it? No. And so I see Jocelyn's question, and she's kind of worried. Well, wait. Do clients have to go buy all this? No, no, no. What did we say, Jocelyn? What did we say? With the Shelf Corp or the Business Accelerator, we're providing for free enough assets for free to qualify for a $100,000 loan. So this isn't a bait and switch. They're getting enough for free. What I am clarifying though, Jocelyn, is what if they want more than 100,000? Well, collateral is important. Do they have enough collateral for the amount that they want? If so, great. If not, we need to do one of two things. Either go get the 100,000 first or get them more collateral. And I'm showing you how you can monetize that. All right. Well, great. Thanks everyone for your time again. If you need QuickCash, you can get it at 509pacific.org. Takes us 24 hours to transfer that 10,000. If you're not a reseller but want to become one, email us. If you need to talk to someone, call Madison. If you need to access past trainings, they're up on YouTube, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Same time, same place. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.